This afternoon, hi. This afternoon, we're going to be doing an interactive tutorial to introduce everyone to the National Data Platforms Education Hub and tell you a little bit about how you can use this yourself, either as an educator or as a researcher. And we'll touch a little bit on points of presence and some of the other NDP functionality. There's an NDP talk later this week too, so I'm actually not going to go into too much detail on NDP. We're going to focus on the interactive tutorial. You guys are going to, the interactive part you're going to do as students. So we wanted you to get a sense of the beta version of our student experience for the National Data Platform, and then we'll show you how educators can set things up for their students on NDP. But essentially, what we're showing you is very, very similar to the way that researchers can use NDP too. So it'll be useful if you want to use it as an educator or useful if you want to use it as a researcher. And I am Melissa. I'm joined by Pedro here today. We have a number of other NDP team members who I'll introduce with us in just a minute. Ilkay Altintash, who's the PI of the project, is traveling, so she's not here today. And Manish, who's one of our other co-PIs, will be giving the talk on Thursday. So you'll get lots of NDP opportunities to hear what we're working on this week. But today, what we're going to do is just give you a little sense of the first data challenge that we're going to run on the National Data Platform. And then the tutorial that you'll do is a slice of that data challenge, where Pedro's going to show you the NDP and the documentation overview that's available right now. And then we'll do the interactive learners portal demo, show you how it works from the educator side of things, and then wrap up with a little bit of discussion on how to collaborate if this is something that you're interested in being a part of. For anyone who's not already familiar with NDP, it's an extensible federated data ecosystem that is designed to promote, I have to move myself out of the way to be able to see the slides, to promote collaboration and innovation, and most importantly, equitable use of data on top of existing national research cyber infrastructure like NRP. And so we're about a year and a half old, and across the 3 years of our pilot, we're primarily relying on NRP as the compute that we're offering through NDP, although it's also designed to work with cloud and other compute as well. And there is both the centralized NDP portal as well as the opportunity to have your own points of presence if you would like to use the points of presence instead. And here's a little bit about our architecture, which again I won't go into in any depth, but the basic idea is that you have the NDP hub, you also have the NDP Federation architecture. There are a number of cross-cutting services that you can use across the NDP hub and points of presence, and that you can use different composable compute, but you also have access to external data and services. And you can see all of our wonderful partners logos there at the bottom as well. This is really a great group of people in a large community effort. But today, the focus of this tutorial is going to be on the Education Hub part of NDP. And the vision for the Education Hub is that we want to offer educators something that's simple, something that's user-friendly so that they can easily set up classrooms, projects in their classrooms, or data challenges that mirror the experiences of researchers on NDP, that mirror the experiences of researchers using NRP, and that educators can create modules that provide data and source code and services to their students in a way that's easy, so that they can also share those modules with other educators, and educators can build on top of an existing catalog of modules that they can use for educational purposes, both to explore data and become familiar with data, and also to complete different tasks that educators give. And so some of the capabilities that we'll show today is how participants can join as teams. So you guys will make teams, how you can collaborate using Jupyter Hub inside of your teams, because each student gets their own copy of the modules and they can customize workflows there, add additional data and repositories as needed, and have both the normal sort of persistent storage that NRP users are used to, but also 10 gigabytes of shared storage so that they can work more easily in groups. And as I mentioned, what we're going to be showing you today is just a little slice of a data challenge that we're going to start February 7th. And the data challenge will be called Fire Ready Forests. And some of the data that you'll be looking at and some of the data that students will be looking at deals with spatio-temporal data challenges, multi-scale data challenges for landscape modeling, and specifically for vegetation modeling for fire modeling. So the kind of data that students will use in the data challenge. Yes.
Here's the hint. You can hide those two things.
Oh, thank you.
The 3 dots more.
Yes.
Hide the video panel first.
Thank you so much.
And then the second thing is go back to the lawn.
So appreciative. Thank you. Okay. Great. So we would really like the students in our data challenge to provide us voxelized 3-dimensional vegetation models at a 1 meter resolution. And we would really like to know in sort of 4 dimensions at any given time where all this vegetation is for the purpose of fire modeling. But of course, the data that students have to build those models is often 2-dimensional and at a 30-meter resolution, or maybe it's point clouds and it's at a half centimeter resolution. So it's very hard to provide the data in the format that we're looking for, and that's the data challenge that we're giving to students and that you'll do a little slice of today. Also here with us to help walk through if anybody gets stuck during the interactive tutorial and to answer any questions that you have about NDP. We have Katie O'Loughlin, who's our product manager, Pratoush, you guys, they're all in the back corner over there. Pratoush, Siddharth, Alex, Jenny, and John. So there'll be lots of people floating around if you get stuck in the interactive tutorial. And you all are our guinea pigs, because on February 7th, we're going to be teaching students how to use the Education Hub. So thank you for letting us test out whether or not we can explain to a group of people in a room how to use the Education Hub. And then I think with that, I'll turn it over to Pedro, and we'll walk through maybe I won't turn it over to Pedro just yet. We're gonna walk through the learner's journey. So that's the interactive part, where you are going to log into NDP, discover the data challenge, join the data challenge, create a team, review the modules, launch Jupyter, share files, add new data to the module, set up Jupyter, complete a module, complete a task. So that's what we're going to try to do in 30 minutes. Hopefully. And then once we're done with that, we'll show you from the educator's perspective how an educator would create those modules, register their data sets, and create a data challenge or a classroom project, because it's basically the same setup, whether you want to use it in a data challenge or in a classroom. So with that, I will hand it over to Pat.
All right, very much. Really nice to see a big group today. I want to start this demo without thanking our NDP team who have been actively working on the development of this platform, and without whom this demo wouldn't be possible. Thank you, guys. Okay, so I want to start this by inviting you to gather in groups of 3. I need you to make groups of 3 people, and I need at least 2 of those team members to have their computers working. So I'm going to give you 1 minute to do that. I don't want anybody without a team. Okay. I'll take it. All right. Yeah. Three and at least two laptops.
Yeah, but I do all the, do bunch more.
Is anyone without a team?
But yeah, because I do.
No? Are we good? Okay, cool. Okay, so the first thing that I will invite you to do is to go to the National Data Platform site. It is nationaldataplatform.org. You should see this site. Nationaldataplatform.org. Are we all here? Not yet? Okay.
I'm gonna hide the controls since I
Oh,
a new
okay.
trick that I know how to do.
Okay. Okay, so once we're here, so this is the main site that we have been building. One of the few things that you can do and that I will invite you to do after this demo is that you can click on this button which says get started with NDP. And this will lead you to the main documentation that we have been writing for users. And in this site, you will find a little bit more about what is NDP, what are the features that we have so far. And especially, I will invite you to go through this page, workspace tutorial, because what we're going to show in this demo can be replicated through this tutorial. I mean, it's not 100% the same, but the idea of the user experience is the same because this teaches you how to work with workspaces, which is like the main working unit within NDP, both for students and researchers. So that's one thing you can do before even logging in. And another thing that you can do without logging in is that you can explore the data catalog. In the data catalog, you will find a collection of data sets that we are exposing through NDP. It is very important to mention that in NDP, we do not host or store any data set. What we are providing is a mechanism so research groups and institutions can expose their data sets, their collections, and they can allow other groups to add value to those data sets or develop new scientific workflows. So you can search for a specific data set in the search engine. And then if you find a data set that might be of your interest, you can click here on view more. And you should find a description for this data set, each of the resources that is part of the collection. And for each resource, you should find the download URL and a quick description of what you are going to find in that resource that is part of the data collection. Every person or every institution that submits a data set to the data catalog is invited to provide detailed metadata so the users have as much information as possible to work on this data. Okay? So, with that said, the next thing that we're going to do is that we're going to actually log into NDP. So, everyone click on this button, log in or register. It's on the top right. Login, register. Okay. And then the easiest thing to do is to click on CI logon. And once you're here, you're going to select your institution from this drop-down list. In my case, is UCSD, but search for the one that corresponds to your university or institution. And you're going to log in using your university's authentication system.
So there's a so if you run into logins, that's why.
Yeah, if someone is having a problem logging in or gets stuck at some point, you can call for assistance to any of our guys. So see our
It should.
Okay, so assuming that most of the people are here, you will see that once we log in, we have this new menu on the top with more tabs discovered.
Oh, okay.
So you're going to click on Education Hub, and you should be redirected to this portal, which is called Learners Portal.
No classrooms.
Yeah. Since you're not assigned to a classroom yet or to any data challenge, you should see this message. You have no data challenges, you have no classrooms. These are classrooms that I have been assigned to, but you can ignore it. Are we all here? No. British, can you help me over here?
Search here.
Anyone else that is not in this page in Learners Portal? Over there? Okay. Anyone else? No? Okay. So, like I said, when you join a classroom or a data challenge, this is where it gets displayed. Now, for the data challenge that we're going to use on this demo, I want you to click on the Explore page where all the public data challenges get published, and you should see this one, 6NRP Data Challenge Demo. Okay. Okay. So when you put the challenge, the first thing that you will see on the cover is going to be the title of the data challenge, the timeline in which the data challenge takes place, the current number of participants that have been enrolled to the data challenge. By the way, wait. Did someone just join the challenge? Who joined the challenge? Okay, that was ahead of time. Do not join the challenge yet. Not yet. Can you remove yourself from the challenge? Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that the process was self-explanatory, but we're not there yet.
Let's get it done.
Okay, so we're going to proceed to open the challenge. Do not join yet. Okay. Who's not in this page yet?
It's not fully set.
Out there?
Good.
Who else? Okay. So when you open a data challenge, ideally, the host of the data challenge should provide all of this information in these windows. The first window should show an overview of what the data challenge is about, providing some background of what is motivating this data challenge, as well as the description of what the data challenge is actually about and what the participants are expected to achieve. Then there's another section for the host to describe the rules and the eligibility for the challenge. In this case, all attendees to this workshop are eligible to participate. There's also another section to write all the frequently asked questions, details about the data that is being used for the data challenge, and there's one window which says modules, which I think is the most important piece of all these data. So as you can see in this data challenge, we have placed three modules. One that is called Exploring the FIA Database, another one that is called Base Solution, and a third one called Solution Development. Okay, so modules are pieces that are designed to be part of data challenges and classrooms. Modules are educational resources in which professors put together detailed instructions, data, and source code so the students can complete a specific task or that they can learn a specific piece of a course. Think about a class in which you have a syllabus and your syllabus is divided by multiple topics and in multiple weeks, and in each week you're covering a specific topic with its own data, its own code, and you expect your students to go through a specific assignment. So think about modules as each of these pieces of your course in which you put together the data, the code, and the requirements that the students need. So these modules can be completed in Jupyter Hub, and that they have like no issues in doing it. So, for example, I'm gonna open this one, and here I describe that this first module is about exploring the FIA database. This demo challenge that we're doing is kind of similar to the one that we're going to host in a week and a half, but it's like a lighter version. Here we are simulating that the data challenge is about predicting three metrics from tree list. So essentially, we apart from the idea that we collect data from U.S. forests. We collect data using aerial lidar scan, and these scanners allow us to get two very important pieces of information. Number one, where the trees are located in a forest, and number two, the height of these trees. But ideally, we would like to know more information about them, such as the diameter, such as the crown base height, and the species. So the data challenge is about inviting the students to take this data, the location of each tree, and the height of each tree, and to develop a model that is able to predict the rest of the metrics that we are interested in. Okay? So in this demo challenge, we are providing the FIA database, which is a tree inventory collected by the U.S. Forest Service, as the main source of training data. Okay. So as a host of the data challenge, the first thing that I want my participants to be able to do is to discover this data and to perform some analytics on this data so they can eventually work with the data and develop a model. Third thing that I would like to do as a host of the challenge is to provide a base solution so they have a benchmark of like from where they should try to get an improved solution. And finally, I will also provide them with a basic setup so they can start working on the development of their own solution. Okay? So this is essentially what modules are. The long-term vision for these modules is that they can become not only pieces for educational activities like classrooms or data challenges, but also training materials or materials that a research group can attach to a data set that is registered on NDP or to a computing service, and that can provide an onboarding material for people that discovers that data set or computing service through NDP. Okay, now we're going to join the challenge. So I want each team to designate one team leader, which has the computer open. Okay? So what the leader is going to do is the following. The leader will click on Join Challenge. It will choose a very creative name for the team.
What?
Is everyone here?
Yeah.
Okay. Choose a name for your team. It can be whatever. Yes.
Can you add the two of us?
Okay. And the next thing that you will do is that you will add the emails of your other two team members. For example, I'm the leader of my team, so I'm going to add Melissa, Kuma, no space, and your email is?
A Newman one CSV. Yes.
California State University.
Yes. Bakersfield.
Okay. Okay, and so here, the team name and the list of emails. Anyone having any issue here? No? Okay.
Or just messed it all up.
And click on.
And so on that.
Did you log into?
Yeah.
.edu and
Dot.
Oh, yeah.
not.
Thank you.
On mine as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you can.
So I don't know.
What's it name?
Okay, so now you should see your data challenge at the bottom. Just gonna give a couple of seconds, make sure that everyone is on the same page. So now that we're all here, each of us has a team, and we are now part of the data challenge. Now let's go and complete the first module. So we open our data challenge, and we go to the bottom. You should see your models at the bottom. On view, and ideally, well, before each module, we should read the description and what are the instructions about how to execute it on Jupyter Hub from the reservation of resources, and including with how to download the data that is attached to it to Jupyter Hub. Okay. So I want you all to click on this Go to Jupyter Hub button.
The members get an email.
Sorry?
Should the other members?
No, that's a good point. Right now you don't get a notification when you are included to a data challenge by another team member. Okay, so the only way in which you can figure out is by logging in and looking at your activities, and you should be able to see the data challenge as part of your learners portal and the team.
Yeah.
Okay, so is everyone here? Pratush. I'm gonna give a couple of 1 minute just to make sure that everyone.
Yeah, open the module.
What?
When I hit up. Module one. Yeah, we're at module one. An error when we try to open module one Jupyter Notebook, it says contact NTP. I'm assuming that.
What? No, if you're trying to use a Gmail or a version, you will not be able to follow them. You have to use your university's email accounts. Control R. Okay. So The next thing to do is to launch a Jupyter Hub server to complete the activities that we are assigned to. For this module, we are using a minimal reservation. We are not using any GPUs or complex resources. Like I said earlier, it is responsibility of the person assigning these activities to detail which resources to reserve in the instructions of the module. And right now, we're just going to click on start since we're not modifying anything from the minimal setup. So I want you to click on start. Everyone is supposed to, great question. Everyone is supposed to do this step. Everyone is supposed to be here on NDP Jupyter Hub and start a server. Now, very quickly, if I can have your attention, this is a very common error that many of you can face when working in Jupyter that says that your credentials have expired, and it's because the authentication system of the Jupyter Hub is separated from the main site. So in case that you see this message, what you have to do is to log out in the top right corner and then log in again the same way as you will log in the main site. Okay, so now I can start my server. It will take a couple of minutes maybe to start. And in the meanwhile, if anyone is not in this step yet, can you raise your hand so someone from the team can assist you? Does anybody need help? And since we're not included the whole setup,
we can do, we can. So, I'm not, how do you guys do the? Right, bus coverage. So they. Thank you. Might be because of the CIO. The chance if we did it, so we updated our channel.
Yeah, we're waiting for it.
You started asking, I was what you said. He said, no.
Okay, page right here, Jupyter Hub. Can you see this extension on the left? Who's on this page? Okay, well, so once we start a server, the first thing that you will notice is that on our left, we have this extension that allows you to connect the resources from the main site to your Jupyter Hub session. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to cover is something that we have placed here for you so you can work across multiple sessions and in collaboration with your team. Click on this box that says current folder. And you should be able to see two folders here. The first folder corresponds to your user storage. So that is the individual storage that you will have across all of your sessions on Jupyter Hub. So every time that you work on Jupyter Hub, if there is some file that you're working on and you want to make sure that that file is kept across your sessions, you need to make sure that your file is located inside of this folder. Okay? The other folder is a folder which is also persistent storage, but this one is shared across all team members. So can you confirm that all the team members can see this folder which has the name that you assign to your team? For example, in my case, it's my grade team shared storage. If you name your team differently, the second folder will have a different name. It's gonna be named after your team and then shared storage.
It never asked me what the first time is.
Who can see the shared folder? I need 2 people from the team at least to confirm that they can see the shared folder.
Yes.
Is that cool? Nice. Okay. So what we're gonna do very quickly is to if you have a very small file in your computers, I want you to upload it inside of this folder. So you will double click the shared folder, the shared storage. And then you will click on this upload files button and choose any random small file that you have available. Like, I don't know, I have this. And I need the leader to do this. And I need another member to confirm that they can see the file that the leader uploaded. Yeah. Choose a very small file. Up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you confirm if you were able to do this? Nice. Okay. So this is where things get a little tricky. When you're, are you everyone following me? Thank you. When you're working on the Jupyter Hub, the trickiest part is to make sure where are you located in your directory. What I mean by this is that every time that you start your server, you are by default placed on the root folder. But what you do here, the files that you place here, the code that you write here, does not persist across your session. So every time you need to be very careful in being inside either a shared folder or a user folder, so you make sure that your files will persist. So we will get back to this, my grade team or my shared storage. Then you can get back to the extension by clicking on the NDP button on the left and make sure that the current folder changed to your shared storage. Okay. Okay, cool. So the next thing that we will do is that we will start setting up Jupyter to work on the first module. So to do this, on your left, you will see a drop-down list with your workspaces or educational modules. In this case, when you click on it, you should see 3. I'm seeing the models repeated because one version corresponds to my professor version and the other one to my student version because I joined the data challenge participant. But in your case, you should only see one copy of each module. Okay? And I want you to select module 1. Okay. When you did this, the drop-down menu for datasets was updated with the datasets attached to this module, in this case, the FIA database. And also with the third drop-down menu was updated with the GitHub repository that is provided for this module. Sometimes there could be cases in which for some assignment, you invite the student to add more data sets or add a new GitHub repository to their module. So if I want to see this change reflected here, what I will do is the following. I want you to get back to your module. You should be back here, module 1 on the main site. Okay. I want you to click on edit. How did I get back? It's a different window. It's in a different, it's in a different tab.
So where are we supposed to be?
You're at this point you're supposed to have in one tab your Jupyter session open, and on the other one your module 1 open. And I want you to click on edit datasets.
And only the team leader has to do this?
Only the team leader, yes. Thanks for the reminder. Okay. So once you're here, I want you to select any of the data sets that appear in this list, maybe just this one, to click on add. I'm gonna wait a second because we can see
What's the even higher context? Like, where, from the very top, how do we navigate?
the higher is on here.
Is it under education?
You're inside. Okay, back from the beginning. So let me take a few steps back. We were here and we selected module 1. But then I mentioned that there are some cases, it's not the case for module 1, but there are some cases in which the educator, the professor, tells you that you need to add more data or more repositories to your module. Okay, are we good? Okay, so if I want to see those new data sets and GitHub repositories in this drop-down menu, what I need to do is to get back to the main site, to my module. In this case, we're still working with module 1. Okay. Then I will go all the way down to the dataset section, and I will click on edit.
In the share. Oh, yeah.
Okay, are we here?
Once you submit it, I can go and see it, right?
And once you are here, you can select dataset. Like let's assume that this dataset is the one that you need to complete your module, your activity. So you click on add. The leader, only one person needs to do this. It can be the leader. And then when you close this window, you should see the dataset section divided into 2. The first one with the data that was provided by the educator when the educator designed the module, and the data that was added by the students. And all members of the team should be able to see the changes that the leader made. Yeah. Is anyone not here? Are we good?
Yep.
Okay. So once you add new data, what we do is that we refresh our workspace section in this little arrow that is next to the select your workspace drop-down menu. Refresh. Okay. We select the module 1 again. And now you should see 2 data sets in the datasets menu. The original one, the FIA database, that was the one provided by the professor, and the one that you added. Okay. So now that we're here, we'll proceed to, I'm gonna go a little bit faster because it's 3:20. So the next thing that I need you to do is, again, make sure that your current folder is your shared storage. If you are not there, click on the current folder window, select your shared storage, and then click back on the NDP button. Okay. And when you are in the shared storage, you're going to clone the repository using this button into the current folder.
Everyone or just?
Only one person. Only one person. Thank you. Only one person needs to do it.
Do we include submodules?
Huh?
Do we include submodules and download the repository?
No, just the first thing.
So if you click that,
Yeah.
we don't.
No, yes. Just keep it as default. Click on keep it as default. Click on clone into current folder and then clone. Yeah. Okay.
Shared storage.
Okay.
Shared storage.
Every team member should be able to see this folder, 6 NRP demo, inside the shared storage. Okay. So now I need you to go inside this folder, double click on it. You will see this file. Okay. Click back the NDP button. And as you can see, there is a requirements file inside the repository. So I want you to click back on the NDP button and click on this button below the current folder window, which says install requirements. Everyone can do it. It will set up the environment to work on the notebooks because each of you, even when you can see the files in the shared storage, each of you is running a different server. So if only one of you installs the requirement, doesn't strictly mean that the other person will be able to work on the files.
Yeah, I do all the one
Really?
Yeah. I mean, there's no difference.
This might take like a minute.
Yeah, so if I have to do like party certain moments, that's when it's up.
Okay, when you get this file printed, the log, it means that the installation was successful.
Just figured that.
Didn't even get this file after clicking the. Okay, so after installing requirements, the next piece is to download the data into our session. So again, click on the current folder window, then double click on the data folder. You will find that there are already 3 files there, and the reason why is because these files were provided through the GitHub repository. We didn't upload these files to the data catalog because we currently don't have an access control system. So for an activity as specific as a data challenge, it doesn't make much sense to upload the data to the data catalog because the data catalog is supposed to host collections of data that multiple users can use for the development of or like more generalized workflows. So these data sets were placed in advance here. So make sure that you are in this folder, then click back on the NDP button. And I need only the team leader to do this. To select the FIA database. Okay. Then click on select all resources. And then click on Add Resources to Current Folder, which in this case is the data folder inside the repository folder inside of the shared storage. And wait for a few seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Only the team leader. And once that is done, you can click back on the current folder window, and you should be able to see 7 files now. The 3 original files, plus the 4 files that we downloaded to our session that correspond to the data set that is part of the data catalog. Okay, so I need the team leader to do the following: to click on 6 NRP demo folder. And open the module 1 notebook. And so at this point, what we have done is that we were provided with a set of instructions and with a set of learning goals. We launched a Jupyter Hub server to start working on our task. We set up the environment by style requirements, by cloning the GitHub repository with the source code into our session. We placed it into a shared storage so it can persist across all of our sessions. And also, we make possible for the other team members to see the material that we are working on. We also place the data that is part of this model into our session. I can see that one member of my team double downloaded the data. And from here, this is a very simple notebook in which what we are doing is that we are first providing some context about the problem that we want to tackle through this demo data challenge. Well, first I want to acknowledge Anthony Marcosi from the New Mexico Consortium, who is the main author of this notebook and of this demo data challenge problem. And first, we give a little bit of context of our area of interest, which is Independence Lake. We describe what the problem is about, and we start performing some analysis on the data. So, is everyone here familiar with the use of Jupyter Notebooks? In case you're not, to run each cell, you just have to either click on this button on the top, which says run this cell, or you can do Shift Enter in each cell. So this notebook, what it does as the first part of the demo challenge is that it logs some data related to trees that have been identified in Independence Lake using aerial laser scan. It's going to place them in a really cool map, which we can see right here. And the reason why this is working is because we installed the requirements in advance. And then it gives an introduction of what the FIA database is about. We filter the data by the type of ecosystem that corresponds to Independence Lake. And then we proceed to perform some analytics on these data, such as understanding the relationship between the parameters. And this gives us the foundation to then proceed to the second module, which is about developing a base solution, which is a random forest model to predict multiple metrics from the tree height that is provided in this data. Okay. Well, I don't want to take much more time here on the problem. What I wanted you to be exposed to is like the flow of what it takes to set up a module and what is like the overall experience for the student. So ideally what we want this is to be a resource in which the professors are able to set up material that their students can easily execute on the Jupyter Hub environment. So, by the way, is there any questions? Did anyone get stuck? Still stuck at this point?
Is there a problem with more than that, just the teacher runs the notebook?
Yeah, that's a good question. Ideally, no more than one person should be running the same notebook that is on the same shared storage at the same time. Because if you do that, you will be having an overwriting conflict. You will have like multiple people trying to overwrite the very, very same file. So that will lead to some warning messages.
Yeah, we see him.
Okay.
This is what.
Yeah, you can say multiple versions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Trying to work.
Okay, so I want to find out. Well, 10 more minutes to. Can everyone hear me? Okay. I want to take a few minutes to show you how we set up this activity. So, to set up modules and data challenges and classrooms, you need to have the professor credentials, and we're currently assigning those credentials by request. Once you get them, you can see this educator portal where you are able to create these materials. So the natural flow will be to first create the modules for your class or your data challenge. So to do this, you click on Add New Module, to give it a title, then you write your institution, to write a description about what the module is about, and the instructions on how to complete that module from the setup in Jupyter, the data that the students have to download, the requirements that they have to install. For some cases, for example, there might be situations in which you need to provide them with specialized Docker images. In this setup that we work on, we use the default minimal setup. But for example, for the data challenge that we're going to host in a week and a half, there's going to be one module in which we're going to invite the students to work with LiDAR data. And to achieve that in Jupyter Hub, we have to set up a customized Docker image that they will be pasting in the image box on the resources reservation site. Actually, I can show you that. By the way, before I'm just remembering something. It's can you get back to? Sorry, let me get back to Jupyter Hub. Can you get back here? Everyone who started a server, can you get back here? Is everyone here? Okay. So this is very important. Once you just stop, finish working, I need you to go to File, then Hub Control Panel, and stop your server. Because we don't want to keep still keep using resources that we are not actually using. File, Hub Control Panel, stop server. File, Control Panel, stop server. I'll get this message that my server is not running. I just stopped it. Okay, so like I mentioned, coming back to the professor experience. So once you get your, like I mentioned, your educator credentials, you get access to this portal where you can set up modules, classrooms, and data challenge. And the first thing to do is to set up the modules that are going to be part of your classrooms and your data challenges. So you click here, you set up a title for your module, you type your institution, you click on Send, and then you can add more information like the learning objectives, tag your modules with some keywords that can help people to discover your resources easier. Because in the long term, as I mentioned earlier, we envision modules to not only be material that is used for educational activities, but also for research groups that, for example, upload a new data set to NDP or a new computing service, and they want to provide some material, some onboarding material for people who could make use of that data. So these tags, like tags, skills, prerequisites, are made to facilitate the search of those materials. Then you will include the data that you want to include in your module. If the data is not yet registered on the catalog, you will have to go to this portal, My Uploads, and click on Register Dataset. These are some registrations that I have pending. And here you provide all the information about the dataset that you are registering to our platform. The title, the description, the organization it belongs to. Right now, all the data that is uploaded is public. The contact information. In the case that your data is accessed through some API, you need to provide a public key here, the license if it applies, and for CSV files, text files, zip files, you add each of the resources here with a name, format, the download URL, and a description of what is the content of that file. And when you submit, the dataset has to be first reviewed by the team, and eventually when it's approved, you get a notification email. So coming back to the educator portal, assuming that you have your data registered or that you found a data set that is useful for your class or your activity, module, you write all the information that the student needs. You include the data set. Here you include all the GitHub repositories with the source code that they will need to complete your activity. Or if they are going to use a model from Hugging Face, for example, you can also include the link in this section. And once you have your modules ready, for example, I have all of these modules already set up prior to this data challenge. You can click here, and this will provide you with the form to start your data challenge. Title, institution, the contact information, the dates in which your data challenge takes place. You fill all the general information, such as the price, if there is one, the eligibility, the rules of your activity, the person who asks questions, the goal statement, which is a very short statement in which you tell the participants in very few words what is the goal of your activity, the background that motivates the data challenge, and the details of what the data challenge is about and the different tasks that they have to complete. Then you can include the modules to it. Here are my list of modules, and I can add them. They will appear here. And if for some reason there is some sort of data that is not hosted in the data catalog, or there are some specifications about how to work with the data of the data challenge, you can write that information here. And from Classroom, I would say that the setup is pretty much the same. The main difference will be that Classroom is a private setup. You click here, and the classrooms are not publicly published. So again, you fill the form with the title of your class, the code, the semester, the year, and the institution that is hosting the classroom. Then you include your model. Well, I can actually do this very quickly. Classroom, code 001, semester winter, year 2025. Here's CST, set up a classroom. And again, here you assign the modules. You can assign a due date for the students when they have to complete that module. And the main difference is that here the professor is the one that has control over the groups. Since the classrooms are not publicly published, the professor manually adds the groups through this form, and each of the groups eventually get their classroom displayed here in the learners portal, and they get access to the tutor.
So if you did this and had the students do an assignment that you wanted to grade,
Yeah.
is there a way for them to either save it into into the Canvas site, or how would you?
Right now, we don't have a solution yet for what you're mentioning. We're aware of that. That eventually we have to develop some sort of mechanism for submitting assignments. Right now, the professor will have to instruct the students to download their material and submit it through Google Drive or some other submission mechanism, Canvas. But we are aware of that, and we're going to be working over the next year or two on providing a solution for that.
Could, from here, can the professor see all the students' work from right here, or do they have to save it and?
The professor cannot see the students' work in the current setup. We have been thinking, for example, in making the shared folders visible by the professor or something like that, but that is currently not possible in the current setup.
But download HTML file and then re-upload it, that would work, right?
Yeah, that will work. Like I already closed my session, but you can download the HTML file of the notebook or the new notebook that the student completed, or the a CSV if it was a product of the notebook, and then that it can be downloaded locally, and then the professor will have to provide a mechanism for submission. Any other question? Oh, okay. So I guess I'll keep the mic back to you, Melissa.
Thanks everyone for playing along. We really appreciate you walking through that and hope that it was more or less easy to follow. As we mentioned, we're sort of in the prototyping phase, and we tested this. Amarnath Gupta tested the classroom with one of his classes last quarter, and we're starting a data challenge with a group of students next week. But we're really eager to find other people who would like to collaborate. And so, one way to collaborate might be to participate in the data challenge that we're launching in February, both to provide feedback and to sort of see the capabilities and best practices that we're using as a starting point. And then if you or any of your colleagues would like to work with our team to create projects for your classes or data challenges, either for your students or that you'd like to make available publicly, our team would love to work with people on building the materials, building the modules, thinking through tasks and challenges and data that's interesting and exciting. And similarly, the experience of research groups who want to use NDP together to work on their own workflows, or research groups who want to make their data sets or services available to others through modules. It's all sort of the same, it's basically all the same functionality. And just generally, we're really eager to find people that would like to partner with us on this. And you can email me or Pedro if you or any of your colleagues might be interested. Yes.
So classes and the students that you've tested this on, are they students that have familiarity with Jupyter Notebook? Or are they students who have like no knowledge of this at all?
That's a great question. So the data challenge that we're building, for next week, I think is easier for students who have some but limited familiarity with Jupyter, Python. Amarnath's classroom that he was working with, those students were fairly advanced. So they certainly don't fit that mold. But our intention here, I guess, is not to provide resources that teach Python or that teach Jupyter, but to provide resources that with very, very limited former knowledge, you can do a lot of things that you might not be able to do otherwise. So I think, this is really aimed at students who have had some exposure, but we hope that we're dramatically kind of bringing down the barriers to what happens between a little bit of exposure and next, right? And so I guess to that point, we would be especially interested in working with people who want to build out modules and curriculum for students who are just beginning that learning journey. And also, people who want to build out things that are, much more sophisticated too. This is meant to be flexible, and Pedro was, talking about some of that today, but meant to be flexible for all of those use cases, for things that are for beginners and for things that are, much more sophisticated. Yeah.
Based on some of the questions and issues that we had just in this group, I would recommend that you actually do some testing with students that have no knowledge. And that way you'll see a lot better what issues they're having to know how to address them.
Thank you. Yes. And I think we are in that sort of testing phase. And so I think that's another important point, in that we're looking for people who would like to work with us and students who would like to work with us, acknowledging that there's a little bit of pain involved in testing things. But yeah, we're very eager to test with a diverse group of students. I think I'll go here. And yeah. Sure. I don't know if this one.
It's what can turn out. So that raises a very interesting conundrum, right? How do you onboard people to something like this who have no technical background? And as it turns out, we have a similar problem in Nautilus, right? And for us, the predictor of whether or not you can get onto Nautilus and start using Kubernetes is facility with Unix. And then, of course, then you're into the whole swampland of learning how to code, right? At least this solves that problem. I imagine there's probably a lot of people out here who are saying, how do I get students without this experience, some kind of a modicum of some sort of experience? How many people here have heard of the Carpentries? Okay, so a smattering. So if you haven't heard of the Carpentries, they offer free training in Unix and Python and R and data sciences and library sciences. They are an international not-for-profit. Most of the UC campuses are members of the Carpentries, and my team holds monthly trainings in Unix and Python, alternating every other month. So if you would like to pilot something like this, but you don't think your students are capable of following along with the Python, talk to me, because we can get you in on one of our trainings and get those basic skills. We do them online. They take 2 4-hour blocks. And basically when you get finished with this, really excellent curriculum in a very finely tuned pedagogy, they will be able to participate in something like one of these other studies. So I think I don't want to call this an early intervention, but I'm really, really concerned with people from community colleges and the CSUs being left behind and not having access to these resources, and solving some of those fundamental gaps in their skills is the first place to start.
Thank you for that. I think that's a great point because we know that we don't know how to teach that. But if people who are teaching that and do have those pedagogies want easy exercises where then after you've learned a little bit, you can, jump right into a module and do something that's really exciting and fun and see.
And you don't need to be a member to do the work. You can actually just look online and do it self-paced or teach it yourself.
So I'm going to go here and then I'll come over there.
I mean, those people who want to implement this will have practical work too.
Yeah, the carpentries has regular instructor training, which is also like a 4 hour or 2 day type of thing. And the UC system or CSU system could even put on those types of trainings virtually.
And we're planning on doing them in Spanish too. That's excelente.
Pedro, can you do the tutorial in Spanish for you?
I came from Cal State San Bernardino, so we are very interested in this program, and then I hope that all my faculty attend the training today. So I would like, if possible, that the NLP team can produce introduction video, so for us to introduce to our campus. So our faculty, when they watch the video, say, okay, that's what I'm looking for. So based on that, so when our faculty are interested in this program, in this training, so they can contact me, or I can approach them, showing them this is the product the faculty might be interested in that, and then they can contact us, and then we will work with you to work on the module. So I would love that. Yes. So it is possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, we'd love that too. Definitely it's possible. Any other comments before we end the day? Questions? Yes.
The data catalog, anybody can create that data catalog item as long as it's reviewed by your team.
Yes, that's correct. And that functionality and those capabilities are for researchers right now. The data catalog, all data catalog entries are public. But one of the capabilities that you'll see very soon is that you can make catalog entries controlled just to groups. So just to a data challenge that you're hosting or just to a research group that you're in. So right now, yes, anyone can request to register, and then it becomes public, and then soon you'll be able to register to closed groups.
And is there like a life cycle management? Like, do you keep checking these?
That's a great question. And I guess like Pedro answered one of the other questions. That's a challenge that we're aware of. Yes.
Well, let's give everybody a few minutes break before the next session. How's that? Okay, let's take a break and